you how to make a snake game in Scratch. So let's get started. First, what you want to do is delete the Scratch Cat, then create a new sprite. I'll call this sprite Snake. Now, what you want to do is first go to the backdrops, and I'll just create a black background. And we will need to set the color to white. So to do that, set the brightness to 100 and the saturation to 0. And that should give you a white. And now we could just make a little circle, make it kind of small, very small. Select small. And to make it easier to select it, just zoom in quite a bit of times. So you can just delete the outline by either clicking on this line, the outline selector, or you could also just go over here and replace the outline number with a 0. And now, let's get started. So, we can just delete my variable, make a new variable, call it direction. And we can just hide it. So one green flag clicked forever and grab out 4 if statements. And now you can get the direction variable. And now we want to check if it is equal to left. Then we could duplicate it and put it into the first law of the if. And then duplicate it into the actually, never mind, don't do that. Instead of left, type in right over here. Then hold Alt, then duplicate it. Then type in up, then duplicate to the third one. And for down, this time don't duplicate it. Just drag it into the last if statement. Now, just to make it easier, you don't have to do this, but I will create a variable called speed. You don't have to create the variable. You could type the hard-coded numbers itself, so speed. I'm just creating a variable so that's easier. And so at start, we want to set the speed to 7 and the direction to right. And now what you want to do is for the direction equaling to left, you want to change the x by 0 minus the speed variable that we just created. And why did we do 0 minus the variable? Because if we do this variable itself, then it will move right. And to flip it to a negative number, we do 0 minus. You could also do times -1, or you could do join dash in the variable, but I'll just do 0 minus. So we can just move this into the right by duplicating it. Then without the 0 minus, just put the speed variable, which will move it right. And for the up, we can just change the y by speed. And for the down, we can change the y by 0 minus speed. And now, when the right arrow key is pressed, we can just set the direction to right. When the left arrow key is pressed, we could set the direction to left. When the up arrow key is pressed, we could set the direction to up. And when the down arrow key is pressed, we could set the direction to down. Now let's see if this works. We can control with the arrow keys, and it defaults by going to the right. And so now let's add the apple that the snake catches, like in real Snake. So in the sprite library, there's this apple spray. We could go ahead and take that. Just, there is a problem. Such a small snake would not want to catch an apple this big. So what we can do is set the size to 50. And also, we need to code this. Basically, what you gotta do is get out one green flag clicked. And then what you can do is just grab out a go to random position. And what this block does is what it says. It makes the apple go to a random position. You could also make it go to the mouse pointer, but that's not really what we're after. Also, obviously not the snake. You want to keep it at random position. So now what you can do is forever, if we are touching the snake, so basically what that means, if the snake is colliding with the apple, so if touching snake, then what you have to do is simply make a new variable, call it length. And now we can, basically what we have to do is just change the length by 0.1 to make our snake longer. But you see, when I test this, the snake's not getting any longer. Nope. And it's not going to a random position. We just need to add that. And we could also just play sound chomp. Make sure not to use the start sound block, by the way, because we're using it for our loop. And so now we get the apple working. But the snake hasn't even got any longer at all. Why is that? Well, because right now it's just a variable. It doesn't even tell the snake to get longer. So basically what we have to do is to make the snake longer, go into the snake sprite. And then right after all the if statements, put in a create clone of myself block. And now when I start as a clone, and then we could just wait the length variable seconds, and then delete the clone. And what is happening right now? Let me tell you what is really happening. all we have to do is just set length to 0 at the start. And now it's going much better. But why aren't we done? Because there are some other features we can add. So, for example, why not add a score counter? To do this, we can create a variable, call it score. So this we won't hide, we will keep it showing. Go back into the Apple Sprite, and then we can also, right after we go to random position, we can just change score by 1. Let's make it so that it ends the game when we bump into a wall. To do this, all we need to do is, for this tutorial, instead of just stopping all, I want to create a game over screen. So to do that, go into the Apple Sprite. Actually, the Snake Sprite. So if we are touching the edge, touching mouse pointer and just click on it, change to edge, then we could, instead of stopping all, we could go into the backdrops and then duplicate the second backdrop. And this backdrop is converted to bitmap, but we need to convert this backdrop right to vector. Now what we can do is type in game over. We could set to a Japanese font, and then we could probably, sometimes it just doesn't let me resize in the backdrop, so just make it in the sprite, resize it over here, copy it. Now we could just delete the sprite and paste that back into the backdrops. And yeah. So now one green flag clicked, we can just simply switch the backdrop to backdrop 1. And in the Snake Sprite, we can switch backdrop to backdrop 2 and stop all. And so that is it for this video. Actually, sorry, we just need to specify a starting position just so that we're not right into the wall when we start. And that's it for this video. Hope you like it. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell icon on the top right tutorial, the top right corner. So I will just show you a simulation of this game before this tutorial is over. And that is it for this video. Hope you like it. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell icon on the top right corner. Bye!